recently had the pleasure of speaking for the North Texas SHRM conference. And while there was a topic that came up repeatedly. And it was a topic that was near and dear to my heart because it was a topic that I was dealing with in my last position. And that topic is hiring currently. So if you are involved in the hiring process, whether it is interviewing or recruiting or anything along those lines, chances are you may be struggling a little bit. It is harder than ever to find people to come in, not only once they apply to get them to interview, but then to come in and stay for a position. What's causing this? And what can you do about it? Happy Monday. Thank you for joining me for this week's Weekly Wisdom. Now, doing some research into the hiring trends definitely opened up some doors, even a few windows to look through to see what was happening. Now, before the pandemic, hiring was still starting to get a little tricky. I remember working with the leaders that I was assisting to help them better understand that it was no longer the employer's economy. Instead, it was the employee's economy. And things like Uber and DoorDash and Instacart were rapidly changing the environment. Then the pandemic hit and it completely flipped everything on its head. Now you can be a true gig worker. They've even gone to where instead of doing just grocery delivery and food delivery, you can pick up shifts at local businesses to do things like serving, dishwashing, all of those different positions. Your employees or potential and future employees are having more freedom than ever before. And when you tie that fact into that many of them got used to working from home and they don't want to come back. So as an employer, what can you do about that? Look at your current systems. Ask yourself, what can you do to give your employees more freedom? I mean, there are certain positions that you just can't work from home, right? So you're serving at a restaurant. You cannot have your servers work from home. But if you do have positions that can work from home, seriously consider giving them that freedom. In the past, there was this idea that we had to focus on what our employees were doing at all times, or they were going to get over on us. Employees don't want to work under that type of environment anymore. They want to know that they're trusted and valued for what they bring to the organization. And as their leader, it's your responsibility to help them feel that way. Are you doing something simply because that's the way it's always been done? Are you doing it for the best benefit of your company and your employees? Another thing to consider, what resources do you have for the primary caretakers? Since the pandemic, 3 million women have voluntarily dropped out of the workforce. And many times, I'm trying to be very careful about what I say. Many times whenever you ask women what's going on, they're like, I'm overworked, I'm overstressed, I'm not getting the help. And whenever you ask the husbands or the partners, they're like, yeah, everything's great. Look at the women in your workforce. Talk to them, truly talk to them. Ask them, how's everything going? Are you still homeschooling? Are your kids doing virtual learning? What does that look like? What is the stress for you? How can I help? And if you're a male leader with female employees, I know that's an awkward conversation. Talk to the women in your life to figure out how do you go about that conversation in a respectful and compassionate and empathetic way. We need to understand the struggles that our employees are currently going through so that we can keep the ones that we have while also looking for new ones. The other piece is get creative. When you're speaking to somebody, don't just look at their resume for skill set. Have a conversation about personality. One of my favorite hires was we were looking for somebody to work on the line, and we were struggling finding line cooks. Like, the struggle was real. And we had somebody come through. She was phenomenal, and her background was in manufacturing at a manufacturing plant. And it took myself and my leader and a couple of other people to convince the chef that the skill sets are very, very similar. Let's teach her the cooking piece. She already knew how to cook for her family. Let's teach her the restaurant style cooking, but the skill sets are very familiar. And she was amazing at what she did. She had an amazing personality. The skill sets translated from past job to current job. Get creative. Look at students. Look at internships. Whenever you are out and about, have business cards. Be your own recruiter. I love going through some place where there's an amazing employee and it doesn't matter the business. They're amazing. I'm saying, hey, why don't we talk? You are surrounded by good talent. It's just not falling in your lap anymore. So I know the struggle is real. I'm not trying to minimize it. But go out, be your own recruiter, have conversation, and take care of the employees that you currently have. Thank you for joining me for this week's Weekly Wisdom. I hope you enjoyed it and have a phenomenal week. Don't forget, you got this. I'll see you next week.